This video is a part of a series of videos that is intended to provide the sport of obedience with a clear explanation of the individual obedience exercises, procedures, and scoring. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that you'll be notified when we have a new video. In this video, we will cover the stand, stay, get your leash exercise. This exercise is essentially a combination of a signal exercise and a stay exercise. The principal features of this exercise are that the dog stand on a handler's first command and/or signal and stay in position until the handler has returned to heel position. The stand, stay, get your leash exercise is the last exercise in the Open A and Open B classes. The regulations tell us in Chapter 4, Section 3, that there are 30 points available for this exercise. In order to qualify, a team must retain more than 50% of the points available. In this case, that is 15.5 points. The judge's orders for this exercise are you ready? This is a query. Stand your dog. Leave your dog to get your leash. Back to your dog. And exercise finished. This is a statement. We will watch this exercise in its entirety, and then we will break it down into its elements, common errors, and scoring.
Stand, stay, get your leash. Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand your dog.
Stand back.
Leave your dog to get the leash.
Wait.
Back to your dog. Exercise finished. Attach your leash to the collar. Maintain control of your dog as you leave the ring. Congratulations, you've qualified.
Thank you, Judge.
The exercise will begin with the handler and dog in heel position at a place designated by the judge. This position must be about 15 feet from the ring gate opening. The handler's leash will have been placed earlier outside the ring on a chair, table, or leash holder. The judge will inquire, "Are you ready?" On an affirmative answer, the judge will order, "Stand your dog." The handler will command and/or signal the dog to stand. The handler may not touch the dog nor its collar. The dog must stand on the first command and/or signal. If both a command and signal are used, they must be given simultaneously. The dog does not have to stand in heel position. Some dogs stand in a fashion that propels them forward of heel position. This should not be scored. Should the dog continue forward after standing, a penalty should result. Once the dog is standing, the judge will order, "Leave your dog to get your leash." The handler may give a command and/or signal to direct the dog to stay. He or she will then walk directly to their leash, turn, and re-enter the ring. The handler will stop just inside the ring and wait. The handler should stand in the natural position. The judge will give the order, "Back to your dog." The handler will walk directly back to their dog, walk around it, and return to heel position. Once there, the judge will state, "Exercise finished." At this point, the handler may release the dog. It is not uncommon for the handler, out of nervousness, to forget to wait for the order and return to their dog. This would be scored as anticipation. As mentioned, when the handler stands the dog, it may move forward out of heel position. Upon standing their dog, should it move slightly forward as part of the manner in which it stands, and prior to the judge's order, "Leave your dog to get your leash," the handler moves to heel position, no penalty should be assessed. On the other hand, if the dog moves as described, and the handler waits until the judge orders "Leave your dog to get your leash," and then moves into heel position and stops, gives the stay signal and/or command, and proceeds to their leash, an NQ would result. Another issue occurs whenever the handler retrieves their leash and re-enters the ring. The handler must ensure that they approach no closer to their dog than the required 15 feet.
Back to your dog. Exercise finished.
Although not a part of the stand, stay, get your leash exercise, the handler, once having qualified, must leave the ring with their dog. The team must leave the ring under control. This means the dog cannot lunge, leap, or drag the handler forward towards the ring opening. Handlers may celebrate with their dog once the judge has said exercise finished, but they must maintain control of the dog. The dog during the celebration can jump or spin or come in contact with the handler. It is essential, however, that when finished, the dog must respond to the handler's command to proceed to exit the ring under control. We will now review the penalties associated with the stand, stay, get your leash exercise. Penalties are levied when the dog or the handler violates a regulation. First, we will look at those errors that will result in a non-qualifying score. The dog fails to stand on the handler's first command and or signal. The dog must stand immediately when commanded or signaled to do so. Any delay is punishable with a minor to substantial deduction. However, should the dog not stand at all, this would be an NQ. The dog moves a substantial distance away from the place where it was left. The dog must stay where left. Should the dog move forward, a minor to substantial penalty could result. However, if it moves a significant distance, this would result in an NQ. Here we may need a brief explanation. Chapter 3, Section 10 states that a dog must receive a non-qualifying score if it moves from the place where it was left before being called or signaled to come. So, what constitutes moving from the place where it was left? Many judges would consider a dog that moves a distance equal to its body length as equating to having left its place. The glossary defines walking forward as all 4 feet of the dog moving forward. A dog could move all 4 feet and travel a minuscule distance. Would this violate the judge's image of perfection? To what degree? Based on this image, his or her experience, training, and judgment, the penalty warranted would be a judge's call. The dog sits or lies down before the handler has returned to heel position. The dog must remain standing until the handler returns to heel position. If once in heel position the dog were to move, sit, or lie down prior to the judge saying exercise finished, a minor to substantial penalty would result. A dog that repeatedly barks or whines may receive an NQ. Depending upon the situation and the number of times the dog barks or whines, the dog may receive a penalty of minor points to a non-qualifying score. The handler fails to leave the ring in order to retrieve the leash. The handler is required to leave the ring, retrieve the leash, and then step back inside the ring. Failure to do so may result in an NQ. The handler moves to heel position after the dog stands and the judge has ordered leave your dog. Handlers are best served by remaining in position after the dog stands, and when the judge orders leave your dog to get your leash, give the dog the command and or the signal to stay, go forward, and retrieve the leash. An NQ will result if the handler gives an additional signal or command to stand. A signal is given with the hand and arm on one side of the handler's body.
Stand your dog.
Stand up.
A substantial to NQ penalty will result if the handler holds their signal. The signal begins at the neutral position, moves to the end of the signal, and returns without hesitation. Now we will discuss those errors that may lead to a minor to substantial deduction. A substantial deduction will be made for a dog that sits or lies down after the handler has returned to heel position. The penalty here will be determined depending upon when exactly the dog sat or laid down. Minor or substantial deductions will be made for a dog that moves a short distance from where it was left. The dog is required to stay where it was left. Moving slightly will result in a minor to substantial deduction depending upon how far the dog moved from its position. Minor to substantial deductions will be made for the dog that moves its feet repeatedly while remaining in place. A part of the stay exercise is that the dog remain in position as it was left. Dogs may need to adjust for balance, and this should not be scored. A substantial deduction must be made for a dog that does not remain under control while exiting the ring. While the handler and the dog may celebrate the conclusion of the exercise or the run, the dog must remain under control at all times. The handler is required to exit the ring gate with the dog under control and without jumping, pulling, or tugging on the leash. A substantial deduction will result if the handler anticipates the order back to your dog. The handler must await the judge's order prior to returning to the dog. Failure to do so is considered anticipation on the part of the handler. A minor to substantial to NQ may result if the handler touches the dog or its collar when standing the dog. Touching the dog in any fashion is prohibited. The dog must comply solely based upon the handler's signal and/or command. Upon re-entering the ring, the handler must stop at least 15 feet from where their dog is standing.
Back to your dog.
It is not required that they stand at the ring gate, but it is required that they maintain the 15-foot distance from their dog. As mentioned in previous videos, Chapter 2, Section 2, under Standard of Perfection, requires that the judge form an image of perfection for each exercise. Within the regulations, the judge will apply this image in addition to the letter of the regulations to determine any penalties. It is not required that the judge be able to point to a specific regulation in helping the handler understand why the penalty was applied. The judge's perfect picture must comply with the regulations, and they have to combine the utmost in willingness, enjoyment, and precision on the part of the dog with naturalness, gentleness, and smoothness on the part of the handler. This alone allows the judge to apply a penalty. We hope that this has helped you understand this exercise. Please like, subscribe, and share this video so that others can learn as well. For other videos, you can go to the playlist by using the following QR code. Thank you for watching.